God. Bloody bands. Well, this is why I banned all of the CaliUnity members from using bands to get their pull-up, and why if you're working on your first pull-up, you should just get rid of it too. Okay, so first off, what's the problem with bands? So I remember I had a client called Sally, and she came to me and she'd been trying to do pull-ups her whole life. And I think she'd been doing it for about 10 years. And she'd get a green band and she'd wrap it around. And honestly, she'd have so many bands that she could probably send someone to the moon with how much resistance and how much help she had. And no wonder she didn't get better. She was doing 10 reps consistently, or she was doing 5 sets of 5, and she wasn't making any improvements. Now, what I told her was, ditch the band, start feeling what it actually feels like to do a pull-up, and all of a sudden, within 4 weeks, she was doing half pull-ups, and within 4 months, she got her first pull-up, and she's in her 40s. So, what's the actual problem with bands? First off, they're a hassle to get into, let's just be real. But secondly, they just don't symbolize and stimulate the correct muscles, and it also doesn't simulate the movement of the pull-up, right? So when I'm down here and I'm doing pull-ups, it doesn't help that people generally just load on loads of bands, but what it's doing is it's providing and helping me throughout the whole movement. What you want a band for is to help you on the part of the movement that's really hard. So for example, in a pull-up, yes, it is the bottom of the movement, but it's still really helping you at the top of the movement, which you just don't want, okay? So as you can see here, right here, it's helping me lots, and at the top, it's still helping me throughout the whole movement, which means that really, you could just load up a ton of bands and it won't help you much. That also leads into the next point. Because you need so many bands to help you get out of the hard position, once you get to the top, you're not really doing much, right? It's not what you want. So what I do instead with the members of the CaliUnity that got their first pull-ups is I break down the pull-up, just like you'd break down any other movement in calisthenics. Number 1, can you hold in that position, which in this case is the top of a pull-up. Now that might mean, let's get rid of this bloody band. That might mean holding on rings in a low position, coming down, and maybe just bringing a foot off at a time, like this, okay? So maybe I'm in this position and I'm holding just like that. Once you get to the point where maybe you can hold that for 10 seconds, now start to see if you can slowly come down in that position. So I'm here and I'm slowly lowering down to the floor. Maybe here I can come back up on one leg and I can slowly lower through that range. Now, I can do 15 pull-ups. Did you see me shaking? Right? That's why this movement is so good. I bet if you went to the gym and picked up a really heavy weight and held it here, you could probably slowly lower it down, but you might not be able to then lift it back up through that range. The reason why is our muscles are 1.3 or 130% stronger on the way down of a movement, or called the eccentric, than the way up. Let's use that for our advantage, right? So when we're doing pull-ups, slowly lower yourself down and take more time. Once you can do a 10-second negative, try and come halfway and see if you can pull back up. Now we're doing pull-ups. So here, you come here, you're in this position, I hold, I come down halfway, and maybe you come back up in that position. And all you've got to do then is slowly go lower and lower and lower until eventually you're down here and oh look, you're doing full pull-ups. So to sum it up, bands suck, stop using them, do negative pull-ups instead, do half reps, and all of a sudden you're going to really be feeling the tension it needs to get the pull-up, and you're going to completely accelerate your pull-up journey.